I don't know if you've ever worked in Congress before, but one of your duties is to receive funding requests from your constituents and take them to the federal government so that they can vote on who gets the money and who does not. These lists can be very long because, as you can imagine, everybody wants that government money. Amy does not get to decide who is on this list. They show up in the computer, they show up in the mail, they put the list together, and they figure it out in the Senate. In 2008, Amy took such a list to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Some of these were denied, some of them were approved. This list is very long. One of the items on this list was a funding request by an evangelical Christian organization that seeks to oppress just about everyone. They're bad news. How is Amy supposed to know that? It was buried in this sheet. Doesn't matter because they didn't approve the funding anyway. There's an article going around right now saying that she did, and it's wrong. It's a lie. Newsweek. Misleading clickbait headline. Very dangerous. I'm going to read it to you. Here's the claim. And as you can imagine, everybody on Twitter is going bananas over this right now. Amy Klobuchar gave $500,000 in taxpayer money to fundamentalist group that calls Halloween gateway to drug addiction. What? That sounds really bad. So when you go through, yeah, man, this organization is bad news. They're going to spell it out for you. And they want to suppress everybody, especially my gay friends, and that is not cool. So I wanted to look into the sources, and they source two of them, LGBTQ Nation and The Intercept. Let's go to LGBTQ Nation first. The headline, Amy Klobuchar tried to give an anti-LGBTQ Pentecostal group $500,000 in taxpayer funds. That sounds bad, man. Why would she do that? They're at least very fair, because in the opening paragraph, in 2008, Democratic presidential candidate Senator Amy Klobuchar requested $500,000 in taxpayer money to go to this organization who sucks. They're bad news. And again, why would she do that? So let's look at the other source. They source The Intercept. So then we're going to go to The Intercept. And this is from October 31st, 2019, 11 in the morning. This is just a few days ago. I have already sent a message to the author asking some questions, but we're going to get to that later. Democratic presidential candidate Senator Amy Klobuchar once requested a $500,000 earmark for Minnesota Teen Challenge, an anti-LGBTQ ministry that claims Halloween, Harry Potter, and Pokemon are gateways to drug addiction. So let's dig into this. The source that she has here takes you to, via the Wayback Machine, it takes you to Amy's website in 2008. And you got to take a look at this list. There's a lot of items. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a dozen, another dozen, another dozen, another dozen, another dozen. There's 13 pages of this, and there's a dozen or two items on each page. We're looking at almost 200 entities requesting funds. And I don't even want to think about the astronomical grand total. Here's one asking for $30 million. Here's one asking for $16 million. The fact of the matter is that it's part of Amy's job to take these funding requests that are provided to her by her constituents. She puts that list together and takes it to the Senate Appropriations Committee. They didn't give them anything. They voted no. And Amy doesn't have a stake in the individual organizations on the list. She's simply doing her job, taking it from one entity to another. That's part of the democratic process. That's part of how a republic works. You are angry that Amy is doing her job. And hey, this organization sucks, and we need to call them out and make sure they're held accountable for their crimes. But you better leave Amy Klobuchar out of it, because she doesn't have a stake in this. She didn't give them $500,000. It's fake news. By the way, you can't say fake news anymore. Not only is it a Donald Trump talking point, It's a Hitler talking point. So we're not going to say that anymore. I'm going to offer an alternative, a politically correct, liberal alternative for this damaging term. This article, more specifically the clickbait headline used by the Newsweek article, is what I would like to call politically motivated disinformation. Say it with me. Politically motivated disinformation. It's really sad because this headline is being shared, and it's enough now where a portion of people on Twitter are incorporating this false idea that Amy aligns with anti-LGBTQ groups, which is ridiculous. It's not true once you look into the sources and you find out the real story. So I'm just saying we have to have higher standards of evidence. And by the way, I bet you're wondering, why does this person have a stake in defending Amy Klobuchar? It's not so much about Amy personally, it's about the fight for truth. And when you're fighting for truth, you may find yourself mixed up with some strange characters that you might not agree with. Amy and I disagree on a number of issues that are policy related. I have nothing to gain from throwing trash at her because I don't need to. I'm not a single issue voter, and nobody should be a single issue hater. It's the quickest path to vote for nobody, and that ain't right. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and more importantly, in terms of fact-checking, it would take too long, it's inefficient, and we're outnumbered when it comes to fact-checking each individual smear. Here's a better way. Why don't we inoculate the general public from the effects of disinformation by truth-telling, storytelling, and teaching each other how to spot fake news in the first place and see through the lies, how to peer review, how to check your sources, how to look into the sources for the other sources. No, there's always more than two sides to every story. I'm a Tulsi Gabbard supporter, and we fight myths as a hobby. It's our civic duty. I mean, our candidate is buried under a mountain of lies and commercially motivated disinformation and politically motivated disinformation. I'm a Marianne Williamson supporter, and we're fighting for big truth. And the big truth here is there's a battle on for your mind, and it's working. But we are winning. When you're heavily focused on silly lies about any candidate, that's just a distraction from bigger things. And if we keep going down that road, we're going to nominate the wrong person. And even if they do win against Donald Trump, that person's going to have to be president. So we have to have a deeper conversation here, people. We got to look about what we really want. And we got to ask ourselves, why do we believe the things that we do about those that we oppose? I will leave you with that. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I have a Patreon. I got Venmo. I got PayPal. All the usual stuff. Keep fighting.